The mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas last week has renewed discussions about school shooting protocols. Law enforcement officials in Texas have come under sharp criticism for their response to the massacre that left 19 children and 2 adults dead. Authorities say the gunman spent more than an hour inside the school before he was killed, despite officers being on scene for much of the attack. The Justice Department is conducting a review of the police's response. Joining us now is Steve Ijames. He is a retired police chief and a police practices consultant. He created active shooter courses for the International Association of Chiefs of Police and provided this training across North America and in more than 30 other countries. Steve, the director of Texas's Department of Public Safety said that officers made the wrong decision not to pursue the shooter more aggressively. Let's take a quick listen.
For the benefit of hindsight, where I'm sitting now, of course it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision, period. There's no excuse for that.
In your opinion, what was the significance of that admission?
Well, it's unusual in American policing that this quick after an event, you would have someone in a position of authority acknowledging that it wasn't perfectly done. I don't have all the facts that the DPS would have, but it appears that failing to move to neutralize quickly would be inconsistent with best practices and contemporary thinking and training nationwide.
The local incident commander in Uvalde initially qualified the shooting as a barricade situation, something, again, the Texas Department of Public Safety said was the wrong call. What goes into a decision like that?
Well, practically all of these scenarios are, in fact, by definition of barricade hostage taking, but they're not mutually exclusive. You don't have one or the and then an active shooting situation. The barricade hostage taking does not negate that the children are in immediate danger, and the acceptable protocol would be to move to neutral threat immediately, independent of a classification of barricade and hostage taking.
What are some of the general protocols for active shooter situations? And based on what we've learned from Uvalde so far, what did and didn't work in your view?
Beginning about 1995, police protocols nationwide began to change dramatically, geared more towards having the first responding officers move danger and rescue the children. It just appears from the limited information in this case that didn't happen. And it may have been because of a wrong call about the barricaded. In fact, all of these scenarios generally involve some type of barricade. In this case, it was abundantly clear that children had already been shot and injured. So regardless of the barricade status, the concern about children literally bleeding to death would have mandated immediate movement to neutralize the suspect.
In the Uvalde shooting, a number of questions have also emerged about who was actually in charge. So how should a command structure typically operate?
It varies by jurisdiction. In many cases, the chief of police of the school district would have authority there. Sometimes that's a mutual agreement between that chief and the chief of the municipality. In some states, the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer. From a federal perspective, the FBI has the primary responsibility for hostage-taking scenarios, but the immediate response, of course, is going to be delegated to the officers on scene. And in this case, I'm not aware of any FBI agents or anyone else who would have trumped the chief. There may have been someone, the sheriff or local city chief of police, that would have had that authority, but that just varies by the way the mutual agreements are structured.
I know for a lot of these responders, they've got to make split-second decisions, but are there times when more senior agencies can pull rank and take over in an active situation like the shooting we saw at Robb Elementary?
Certainly, it's conceivable, but timing is the issue. Again, the FBI has had jurisdiction over hostage takings for a number of years. That was enhanced in 2018 after Sandy Hook. But the practical reality is when children are in danger, there's no FBI or anyone like that. The officers on scene for about 27 years in U.S. have been taught that movement to neutralize the threat at the first opportunity likely to be successful is what the best practices are. And I'm confident that many officers there on scene were trained and would have liked to have done that.
Well, Steve Ijames, thanks very much for providing your perspective and expertise.
My pleasure.